Alright, here's what we got going on today in Axeman Anderson land. We're working on this 1956 William T. Storey modified Axeman. Well, we're not really working on the Axeman, but I'm really curious about this gear reduction drive motor that runs the ashing. See, we got the ash brake pulled out a little bit in the back there. The cat's inspecting it. So I think what we got here is it was controlled with this aquastat, and I'm pretty sure I figured out which. Yeah, I know. I'm pretty sure I figured out which one is hot because it has an external starter capacitor. So we've got the external hot here. These two windings go internal to the motor, and this one I believe to be the neutral. So I have it pigtailed to a 3-prong cord, and we'll plug it into that extension cord, and if all goes well, this motor will start running. If we did it wrong, then you'll probably hear a big bang and all the lights will go out. See, set you up here so you can see what happens. So we can figure out a big enough pile of stuff to put you on. Okay. Will that work? Yeah, well, it should. Here we go. Big bang or start. I'm going to stand over here away from it. So. Looks like we might have got it right. Motor's running. Not very quiet. Okay. That means this should be turning very slowly. Which it is. Put some clean spots on it so you can see it actually turning. Hopefully there's a screw on here that will allow us to uncouple this thing. See, our crank is moving very slowly. Man, that thing's pretty annoyingly loud. Set screw yet. Well, it's gotta be held on there somehow. This is going around the whole revolution here. Not a very good sounding motor. It'll be a two-handed job to get in there and figure out how this thing is coupled. You know what? I put the camera up in there. Maybe the camera can show me something I can't see for myself. One from the other side too. Can't say I see anything in there that would couple to the outside world. Maybe it's just a shaped coupler and you unbolt the motor and pull it out. So we'll try that. Alright, well here's what we got with this motor here. It is just a hex sleeve that couples it. The gearbox has a hex drive coming out of it. That goes on there. And they somehow got a hex drive on the hashing shaft, so that's how that works. Unfortunately, well, I was going to try and do a quick and dirty, adapt that setup onto this here, but there's no way we're going to get anything on this big fat shaft here, so as far as being quick and dirty, that ain't going to happen. I thought about modifying it, and really what would be ideal is take the Axeman 260 hashing crank and assembly out of there and bolt it into this one. That'll require making some different holes in it and doing other modifications. So probably the best plan, if we're going to go down that route, is to work on this one over the summer, get it all finished up, since it already has these modifications in it. And then before the end of fall, before we get into the heating season at the end of 2021, we'll pull this one out and swap this one in. But we got some welding to do in the back here. There's some significant damage up in here, so this will have to be, this booger weld stuff has to be cut out and welded in. And as long as we're getting it welded, I'm going to pull this coil out and have a plate welded over that, so we won't ever have to worry about that leaking again. And what I had planned for this one, which I'll probably just adapt to this one instead, since this is already a modified unit. We're probably going to eliminate the this motor bearing box mounting system and mount the bearing box to the fan plate with a big L bracket, and do the same thing with the motor, just mount it to the base with a big L bracket. And one other thing we're going to do is we're going to make a sandwiched fan plate. And we're going to sandwich it with some insulation. I still think this is probably the biggest heat loss area out of one of these Axeman boilers. And insulating that will probably bring it closer to what an alternate heating system's S130 does. So that's the plan for that. I mean, yeah, it'll be a little bit noisier with the motors directly mounted on there, but I don't know, the AHSs don't seem to make much noise, so I don't know. If we think it's going to be a problem, maybe we'll just put another plate on here, or do something to make it not have such harmonic noises coming through. So yeah, that's what we'll do. Okay, this other motor here and gearbox is what was mounted in here to drive the auger. So I was thinking of maybe using the chain coupling on that setup, but as you can see, it's a different size and it's keyed, so there's no way to directly get it on there. But yeah, this is how they were running it. It's another motor with a gearbox, starter capacitor. This one has a breaker that they had mounted on the side here. But that's how fast they were running their auger on these crazy things. That stuff was all mounted in this box here. So I'm not sure if I like it. I think my setup with the external motor to drive the auger is a little nicer. It doesn't make that noise either. So I don't know, we'll figure something out. One thing about this is you can't really change the speed of the auger. And one thing nice about this is you can change the drive pulley and the gearbox pulley to get a pretty large variety of different auger speeds if you need it. But yeah, so okay, we got these motors figured out. That's the ashing auger, one that drives the grate back and forth, and that's the auger motor that drives the auger around in circles like that one. One other interesting point about the CW Storey modified ones, the auger does not have a cam. So whenever you replace the augers, I guess he just ordered them without the cam because he didn't have this whole ashing assembly on there that needed to be driven by. There's the auger over there in the corner. It's the white one. Hey, we got another auger right next to it, so as you can see, unlike this one, there's no cam there. That's a different one. That one has a cam. So yeah, that's a good auger. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that auger. So what we will do is we will use that on this one when we get it done. That way it'll have a nice auger on it, and we'll be using some sort of separate ashing motor. I don't know if we're going to go with this or not. Not 100% in love with that. I have the setup that I talked about in another video where I used have a yellow flame gearbox, and basically underdrive a 1725 RPM motor with the yellow flame gearbox and mount it right in front in the center like they do on the alternate heating system boilers, and just have that, basically it's just a piece of flat stock that goes from the gearbox back to the crate, and it just pulls it back and forth. Really simple. No other parts other than the crate and the piece of flat stock with 2 holes in it, the gearbox and the motor and a belt. So that's what we got going on here today in crazy Axeman Anderson land.